Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome if it's your first time. And today we're going to be making a rat again, as we always do. And as you know, my hands are bleeding because of all the rats. So let's start things off the same way we usually do. We're going to find that rat shape that we're looking for. And I have gotten a little bit clever. As you can see, I did kind of form the snout. So I did that off camera. Today we're working with this kind of marbled gray coating. It's gonna make for a gorgeous coat, a stunning coat really. And we're gonna go ahead and just cover the face up with that, and dive right into it. Start working that rat. I'm gonna pinch off the excess, and I'm gonna go ahead and fold that over, remembering to stay in frame while I'm making this video. It is important for a rat like this. You do not want, well, it's important for every rat, but for this rat specifically, due to its marble coat, you don't want to overwork that clay. So you're going to find your rat, make sure the head shape is how you want it, and this one is already sticking out as a heavy set rat. As you can see there with the sort of double chin structure there. It's just going to be a little bit smaller of a rat. And that is, for some reason, how my gray rats usually do turn out, a little bit on the smaller side. I'm going to lightly, and I pray just one time, going to work the clay. That is the shape we're looking for. You see that chin and that other chin. We're going to strengthen that chin up very slightly. All that jawline. A lot of these rats have kind of a realistic human jawline, and that's kind of what's fun about them. They're almost like little people. You know, rats are a very intelligent animal, and that's really it. I don't know where I was going with that. I think everyone already knows that about rats. Okay. So you see, we pretty quickly got what we're looking for here shape-wise. Did not take much work on this one. This one is coming together beautifully. I'm going to go ahead and throw a nose on there. Work that into the clay a little bit, not too much. And we are a little bit lopsided here. I think we are favoring the wrong side just a slight bit. And I don't know if you can hear that, but that is my dog in the background. As you may have guessed, I am not a cat person at all, so anything that is an enemy to a cat is a friend of mine. And dogs are almost as close as you can get to a cat's natural enemy. Okay, we're going to go ahead and just form that nose very carefully. We're going to want it to curve in on the sides a little bit, over the head. Bring the sides down. Wow, that is a great rat nose. Right off the bat, I'm going to say that's one of the best rat noses I've done this week. But I am going to make sure it stays thin all the way down. And I'm going to curve it just a smidge. Okay, great. Now this rat looks like it might be a little bank robber rat. Could really be anything you want it to be at this point. And again, you can see that just stunning, outstanding marbling on this piece. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take just one quick second. We're going to analyze the rat. You want to analyze your rat. I think this one's going to have smaller cheeks. I think they're going to be about here and here. Boom. That easy. Let's work those in. As always, being very careful not to overwork your rat, because you do not, and I repeat, you do not want to destroy that beautiful coloration on a rat like this. It's the main thing the customers are looking for in a rat like this. You're getting something, and people are going to say, is that a stone? Is that a rat made of stone? And from a distance, you may be fooled. But no, this here is a rat made of clay. And what's the saying? A rat made of stone is worth two of clay any day, or something to that effect. Leave the saying in the comments if you know it. And there's another little clever rhyme saying, let me see if I can recall, I believe it's three living rats is better than one dead cat. 3 dead cats is worse than 1 living rat. I think it was from Tom and Jerry, the quote. I can't recall. Obviously I don't wish death on any cats, but obviously I'm not losing any sleep either. So what we're gonna do, kind of reform that phasal structure. And you kind of can see what I'm doing, I believe. I'm hoping by now. I want to make sure everything is straight. Everything is facing the right direction. Everything is fairly symmetrical, but not, you don't want it to be too symmetrical. You don't want a pretty boy rat. You want these rats to have a little bit of a character. Okay. You don't want a rat that hasn't had its own little fair share of struggles growing up. You want a rat that has a lot of character. And you can see I'm just kind of finding that shape, and I'm following a shape. I'm following the cheekbone. And you'll hear me talk about that in every video, really, where I see, you can almost visualize the rat. And it's not just with rats that you can do that. You can actually do that with anything if you really, as far as clay sculpting. If you kind of just visualize where you want something to be, you can kind of see that that's exactly how it works. So you see the cheekbone is here, the jawline is here, and now the eye shape is here. And this one might be a little bit off, but we'll see what we can do. It doesn't have to perfectly match the first one, but you want it to at least be some kind of balance. It doesn't have to be a symmetrical balance, but you see this one here, you look at the above view, you can see that it needed to go in a little further. Okay. Still needs to go in a little bit further on that eye. And that is not a problem. And we're going to shape it around the cheek. And gently work that. And there you go, you got a pretty good basis for a rat here. Now for this rat, I think I'm going to give it a smaller chin, but kind of a heavy set. And you see how the rat, you see how that kind of Grinch scowl just appeared there with me, molding that area. So that's what I'm going to go with here. I'm going to work this so you get kind of a double chin rat effect. And you want it to be a little bit of a chunkier rat here. Now in some rats, this would work just fine as the mouth, but in this rat, that's not what we're going for. We're going for, and you'll see that clearly as soon as I do what I have to do here with the shaping. You're going to follow those lines, just follow your lines. And I think we're to, let's see, I'll average right there. We're going to need to make a mouth here. I'm going to make the mouth out of gray clay. Normally this is a white clay thing, but I'm going to do bright clay. I'm going to give it a very small chin here, just so you get an idea of where you're working. Just always kind of keep in mind it doesn't have to be something that people are going to see and say, oh, that's clearly a chin, but I think when you have an idea of where your rat's features are, even if they're minuscule, tiny little features, your proportions will come out better. So you see you got just a little indication of a chin here, and that is going to form the opinion on where the mouth should go. It's a very slight little chin there. Again, just working everything as if it's one face. It's one unit. So we got both sides forming up nicely here. This rat is a little bit heavier on this side, so I might add a little clay on this side, but that's not my concern right now. Right now is, where is that rat's mouth? Where's that rat's mouth? And I think it's going to have a wider mouth right about there. And you do not want to be fooled by the rat being disproportionately weighed down in the chin, if you catch what I'm saying. So this side is fatter and larger down here. You can see that. But that does not mean that it will always be like that, because I'm going to come back and add a little bit of clay at a time here until I get what I need shape-wise. And that's the thing about clay. It's an intimidating medium, but it is very forgiving. So you can just mess with these rats all day, and I don't advise that, because you will lose, one, track of time, and two, you'll lose your proportions. I recommend visualizing the rat and locking in the shapes as quick as you possibly can. And especially when it comes to the ears, the nose, and things like that, the ridges of the eyes, the symmetrical areas, very important to lock those in. Okay, so now you see the rat is a little more evenly shaped at least. So now we can come back to the mouth. I'm going to gently blend this, and if you're having trouble getting a clean blend with a tool like this, keep in mind that there is a little seam on both sides of this tool. Your tool may be different, but if you're not aware of the seam, just try to work, if you do have that, try to work on the opposite side of the seam. You do not want the seam touching your clay, or it will not help. And if that doesn't work, you can just use isopropyl alcohol or acetone with a brush, regular paintbrush, any brush, and gently and sparingly apply that to your rat. Okay, so this rat is currently got an open mouth. I'm not a huge fan of that for a rat, unless I were to give him a couple fangs, which I very well could do, but for now I'm going to go ahead and, you don't want to blend too much on the sides of the mouth either. That is a concern. So make sure your sides of the mouth are kind of even and lightly blend. You don't want to overdo it. Again, this rat is losing its marbling a little bit, but there is still a little bit of marbling to be seen with this rat. Very realistic, human-like chin, human-like double chin, you know, jawline feature, perfect rat shape going over the top. I love that. It's almost like a little laboratory creature. Looks pretty good, pretty even on both sides. Doesn't have to be perfect. So we're gonna go ahead and take our eye hole poker. You can give this rat big eyes if you want. You can give it whatever eyes you want. I'm just gonna give it a couple little beady bastards because that seems to be the theme that I've been going with right now, and it's working for rats of this size. Eyes are another one. You got to be very careful to not overdo it. And if it looks slightly imperfect to you, that's okay. It's the imperfections are what make each and every rat, its own, you know, special entity. So, you know, a lot of people I do get will tell me, and I do see it in some rats, that the rats look like elephants. For example, I did have a customer complaint about a rat looking too much like an elephant, and it was promptly shipped back to me, but that's just fine. Like I said, I'm not in this for the money. I will be making rats until I'm, you know, exiting this mortal coil. Hopefully I die right at this table with a rat in my hand, but that's not for a long time, hopefully. I use a sewing needle for my whiskers, and this is the part where you gotta have a real steady hand, and you gotta just be, boom, you gotta see it, you gotta do it. It's that easy. 1, 2, and 3. And try to visualize where the whiskers are going to fall when you place your whiskers. That's an important step that a lot of people don't think of. Where are those whiskers going to fall? For example, I want 1 in the front, 2 in the back on this rat. Sometimes you want to put, stagger them. You could put 4. You could do 2 whiskers, a traditional kind of 50 style rat. I'm going to do 3, so I'm going to just do this one time. Right here, edge of the ridge of the eye, right here. I don't know if you can see that. Ridge going to the mouth, so edge of the ridge of the eye. And we're just going to line it up kind of height-wise. 1, 2, 3. And if they're not perfect, that's okay. It'll do the trick. And these ones are pretty far off, but that, like I said, you can kind of work your whiskers to fit where you need. And I apologize if I'm in the frame clogging up the view, but just for this one part, it is important that I make sure these are perfect shaped holes for the whisker application in the next step. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and make a couple of ears. As the dog is trying to sleep, you can make whatever ears you want. This one is going to have gigantic ears, so and I just thought of that just now. We'll do that. You can do this a number of ways. There we go. Shape the ear. Go ahead and place your ear. And there you go, that's pretty good ears. Well, former man, please excuse my brother who doesn't understand the whole rat industry. He doesn't get the ins and outs, so he doesn't know that I do this. As a matter of fact, he thinks I've been working from home at nights for a company based in Jakarta. But we'll get into that in another video. You're just going to want to real carefully.
What are you doing tomorrow morning?
Nothing.
Tomorrow morning?
Nothing.
Tyler's off tomorrow.
Okay.
He's down the game. I said I told him to be up when I get home, so I'll stay up till like noon.
You gonna play rat?
Huh?
Are you gonna play rat?
Maybe once. Doubt it though.
Why?
I don't know, because I'm really stressed out. With the mid-season changes to the Nita.
Oh.
I'm going in early tonight too to do a reset.
Okay. So form that ear to the rat as quietly and quickly as you can. And we'll do that on both sides. Okay, and we'll give this one black eyes. For a gray rat, you only want to do black or white eyes. You do not want to do red eyes on a gray rat. That would be foolish. Sizing perfect. You want to be real careful when adding these. I do not want to keep wasting my alcohol wipes. Okay, these eyes are going to be slightly too big. You're going to take the smallest pinch of eye out of there as you can. I think he's out of here for now, so I think I can get away with raising my volume a little bit. And I do apologize for that. He does not understand my line of work. Go ahead and use another eye, another finger to poke that eye out. There we go. And you see that eye is twisted a little bit, which means I should make this eye a little bit crock-eyed. You don't want to use a finger that has not been covered yet. And you can go ahead and work that eye very carefully to be the perfect shape for you. And for me, that will do the trick. And I will put this in the oven and come back and finish the video. Okay, we are back with this little gray one here. And we're just going to get this one knocked right out here. And go black on the lips. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't know if this one actually looks gray on camera. It's not, doesn't look totally gray in real life either, but it is gray. Okay. And this one we're going to keep simple. This is going to be a little goth, kind of gothic mouse here. I will be giving it a pink nose though, just to keep it. Nope, I'm going to give it the maroon nose that I've been recently really enjoying. Again, sometimes you gotta just listen to the rat. The rat will speak to you. Now imagine how foolish that would have looked with a pink nose. That one's gonna have a little bit of a rough nose. Kinda like brushed in there a little bit, kinda all messy. This one is going to be kind of blacked out mostly, I think. We're going to go kind of a bigger cross on this one. We're going to go definite. I might give this one a couple little lines here. We'll thicken those up very carefully. Okay. And we'll give it a tear on the opposite eye. Okay, I am going to come back and color in the nostrils. I might do a little bit of line work on the lips, but for now I'm going to go ahead and bore out the whisker holes. And if you were by any chance watching on that, or I don't know what the order of these are, but on this video, if this is either a preview or a video you've already seen, you remember that this rat had a little incident with the alcohol wipes, and I'm going to go ahead and paint this whole thing black and just kind of redo that, get back to where we got to be with that. It's going to take a little extra time, but like I always preach in my videos, you want your rats to come out perfect, or you know, as close as you can get. You gotta go the extra mile for those rats, and that's what we're gonna do. But that's not for this video, that's for another video. I'm rambling because I cannot find my needle, which is never good, because if it's not here, it's on the floor. If it's on the floor, it's in your foot. I usually keep it somewhere where I know I have a set location for it, and I don't know why I would have moved it other than to bore out a whisker area. So let's see. Okay, that's concerning. This is turning into a little bit of a disaster of a video, but we're going to just buckle in and work our way right through that. Let's see. Let's just start slowly taking everything apart here. Not in there. It should be right here somewhere. The problem with it is it's also so small that you can very easily overlook it. Okay, I guess I'm going to cut and come back to when I do find it. Okay, so no luck finding that needle. That's okay. I will find it. I might have left it somewhere right here. There's not really too many places I could have gone. So let's just get our whiskers going here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I ended up using one of these tools to bore it out from this kit here. It was super cheap. I got it on Temu before I knew if I really wanted to get into clay, and you know, so far it's been pretty good. I would recommend it if you don't know for sure if this is something you want to do. If you're just looking for cheap gear, and try it out. That's a good positioned whisker. I think I should have given it a little more glue though. And this one will give it a little bit more glue. I was getting complaints about the toxicity of the glue I was using. I don't know if I have spoken about this before, but I don't know if everyone has seen that video. So I switched over to this other glue. It's cost a couple bucks, but you know, a lot less people are getting sick when they buy my rats. Like I said, the market is down either way, so it's not like a ton of people are buying the rats. But again, that works out just fine for me because I don't really care if I sell these rats. I'm perfectly happy to go to the grave with a coffin full of rats that I've made. Okay, we're gonna take a cue from the other side of the whiskers, and this glue takes about 24 hours to cure fully, but it'll lock it in place pretty quick. So you gotta be fairly quick to get glue in there and get it in place, but you do have some time. You can pull it out of there if you're not happy, or just reposition. So that's a really good placement. It's a 9 out of 10 placement right there. And the placement, whisker placement is obviously always relative, so if these are placed differently, then this one might have scored a little under a 9, but the angle's great, drop is great. And this one's about a 6 placement. I think I could be happy with it if I could get it just to turn ever so slightly. It's okay. It's not great. The last whisker hole is going to be an issue, and I'm predicting that. Early in the game, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of bore it out lightly. The problem is I made all these holes with the sewing needle, which is now MIA, so I can't. Be real careful not to destroy the nose while you're working. And this whisker looks a little short to me. I'll give it a try. I'm gonna throw a little short whisker in there. I am gonna try to be a little less globby with the glue in the future. I think even when I do find that needle, I think I'm gonna make the holes with larger pieces of equipment because I really don't want to fight and get a bunch of glue all over the place here. Overall whisker placement pretty good on this rat. Couple things I'm not super happy with. The cross got a little dabbed up on the head. I don't know if I like that or hate that. But it is what it is. You know, these are handmade rats. So, like I always say, the imperfections will give the rat its own kind of personality, if you will. I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple quick little nostrils. I think I'm going to give this some lower nostrils. And I think that rat is as good as it's going to get. I like that rat. It's not my favorite one, but it is a pretty good rat overall. So I'm going to let that dry, and we will move on to the next rat. And again, this one is gray. I know it looks, here's that profile. I know it looks white, but it is. For comparison, here is a white rat. You can see it is a little bit gray. And that'll be it for this one. Thank you for watching. Toodaloo.